I'ma blow up.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Taro. As you all may know, I love roleplaying, D&D, LARPing, text-based RP, and roleplaying in video games. During my live streams and some of my RP videos, questions arise about how one can get into roleplay. Here is a video that goes over what you need to know about getting into roleplay. If you like this video, hit the like button, and if you're new, subscribe for more content like this. In this video, we'll be going over the rules of roleplay, how to create your character, and not make them a Mary Sue and or Gary Stu's character, the different kind of roleplay that you can get into, how to do voices for your characters, improve your roleplay for yourself and those around you, and also how to keep OOC and IC separate. All of these are the framework of the house that we call roleplay. Understanding these can help you on your way to discover a world of imagination and fun. Let's start off on understanding what roleplay is. So the word roleplay is both a noun and a verb. Roleplay is defined as acting out or performing the part of a person or character. You are an actor, a story writer, and performer. Your job as a roleplayer is to enhance your part of the story and to mold it around the world you live in. You will work with other roleplayers to create a new and unique story that is fun for all those involved. Like any kind of game, there are rules involved, and roleplay is no exception. Understanding these rules is a key function to understanding how to roleplay. These rules may vary from server to server or community to community, yet the rules I will be going over are most common ones that everyone uses. Let's start with power gaming. So, what is power gaming? Well, this is when you force a player to play out a situation or scene a certain way that gives your character the upper hand or benefits your character more. Examples are, your character encounters another person and tries to hold them hostage. The person is cool and collected, but you think they should be crying. So you tell them, why are you not crying? In a situation like this, you should be crying, and proceed to force that person to play their character in a way you see it should be played. That is power gaming. You are forcing someone to play their character scared or submissive so you can rob them easily. The best way to avoid the situation is to realize that roleplay may not always go your way. That is fine. That is the fun to roleplay, the spontaneousness of it all. Next is metagaming. This has to be the most important rule in any roleplay situation. So what is metagaming? This is when you take information that you did not learn in character and use it to that character's benefit. Example, you are on your crim character who is about to rob a bank, but you also have a law character that has access to know what LEO is on at the time. You remember that on your law character, you overheard that most of the law are going to be on a stakeout/raid today at 2 p.m. So you decide to use that information to get on your crim character to rob a bank at the same time to make some easy money and not get caught. This is a big no-no. That is metagaming. You use the information you learned on a different character or OOC to benefit your crim character to get more money. Doing this not only harms your roleplay, but everyone else's too. Remember, it's okay to lose. It is okay to get caught for the sake of the roleplay for the other person. Remember, your roleplay is not the only one that matters. So with that in mind, let's talk about NVL. This is when you do not value your character's life, doing/putting yourself in a situation that can get your character killed. Does this mean you can't stand up for yourself? Absolutely not. What this means is you need to roleplay with your character's life in mind. Weigh out the situation. Will you be able to negotiate to get out of the situation, or are you just SOL? Just because your character gets downed and you respond does not mean you can just go running headfirst into a firefight. Treat your character as a living person with fears and wants. Think through your actions, both if you are the crim or the victim. Remember, make roleplay fun for all involved, not just you. Next one. And this one relates mostly to text RP, but it can apply to all RP. God modding. So what is God modding? It is similar to power gaming, yet this one you take control of other person's actions/words and not just push a person in a direction of roleplay. For example, you're in a fight with a person in text RP. The person says they dodged the attack, now it's your turn. So you reply with something like, I ran around behind the person and jammed my knife into his back, causing him to scream out in pain. Please stop. I laughed at the words and dug the knife deeper into him, smiling as I watched him fall to the floor dead. If this was not talked out between the two players beforehand and the other person did not okay it, that is god modding. Do not do this. This is a dick move and no one would want to roleplay with you ever again. Fail RP. Well, fail RP is another huge one in the roleplay community and can be a bit confusing what is considered as fail RP. There is personal fail RP situations, like your character hates water, but you personally failed the roleplay by saying F it and doing things with water like it does not affect them. There is the textbook fail RP, which is failing to stick to your in-game roleplay. This is one of those rules that can and will vary between servers and communities, so please ask around and read up what that community considers as fail RP. RDM and VDM. What is RDM and VDM? Well, they stand for Random Deathmatch and Vehicle Deathmatch. This is when you kill someone with a weapon and or car/horse without any roleplay whatsoever. Example is you walk up to a random person and shoot them in the head just because you found it funny. That is RDM, and in most servers it's grounds for a ban if bad enough. As for VDM, it's the same thing except you run people over with a car and or horse with no roleplay. Do not do this. It is not worth ruining your roleplay experience and everyone else's. Now, this one tends to boil a lot of people's blood. If you play video games, I am sure you experienced this at least once in your lifetime. Combat logging. This is when you leave a hostile situation and log out of the game to avoid defeat, destruction, or damage. If you are about to die in a fight and you exit the game before you die, that is combat logging. This is so frustrating for everyone involved. Remember, it's okay to lose in a roleplay situation. You do not need to win all the time. Last one for this, and if I miss some, just comment below what you want me to explain more and I will reply. Breaking character. This is when you fail to maintain the illusion that you are identical with the character you are portraying. It also can be when you say terms that make no sense in the setting that the characters are in. Let's say you're in the 1700s and you are playing a high-end aristocrat. You then mention something from the 21st century. That is breaking character. Stay with what makes sense for your character. Now that you understand basic rules for roleplay, let's talk about the different kinds of roleplay. There are many forms of roleplay, and it is not a one-fits-all kind of deal. There is D&D. This is Dungeons and Dragons. It is a fantasy role-playing game that is usually set in a fantasy setting, loosely based on a medieval myth. D&D is the oldest role-playing game. It was founded in 1974 and still largely played by all throughout the world. This game can be intimidating at first, but most groups will welcome newcomers, and I'm more than happy to help you learn the game. So if you've ever been interested in trying D&D, check out Roll20. Many games are free to play/join and are new player friendly. Next is LARPing. LARPing started shortly after D&D was launched. The activity spread internationally during the 1980s, and since then has diversified to have many styles outside of the one based around D&D. It stands for live action roleplay, where you dress up and gather in a group of roleplay your character physically with others. Some of these events are week-long, others are just weekends. If you ever want to LARP, go for it. You do not need elaborate costumes to do this. Trust me, you'll be welcomed even if you have minimal costumes. Text-based RP. Many are familiar with this one. Text RP is roleplay through text, like story writing, but you only control one side. This form of roleplay took off in the early 2000s when the internet started to take off. Many text RP sites sprung up and it was a boom for the longest time. There are still some text RP sites out there, and text RP discords are a thing now. So if you ever want to try this out, worth a shot. Last, and the newest form of roleplay, video game RP. This kind of roleplay is when you RP through a video game. Some examples are GTA 5 roleplay, RDR2 roleplay, Ark roleplay, DayZ roleplay, etc. Most if not all multiplayer games out there you can turn into a roleplay setting. If you are into that kind of thing, go for it. Roleplay on these games are really fun. Now that you know about the rules of roleplay and different kind of roleplay, time to make your character. So the first thing is to have an idea what character you want to play. Will they be shy, bold, funny, cranky? What kind of hair color will they have? Eye color, fashion sense? These are the start for a character. Creating them in your mind first will help when you make them on paper. Give them a backstory that fits with how they act, what they like, how they got to that setting in the roleplay. Having a good base and understanding what and who your character is the first start on your roleplay adventure. Remember to give your character flaws just as much as strength. You do not want to make Mary Sue or Gary Stu's character. This is a character that's perfect and has no flaws whatsoever. They are good at everything. No, just no. Please, when make your character, think of their fears, their wants, their hates. Make them well-rounded. Most people make their characters based around themselves. What you like, your character likes. What you dislike, your character dislikes. I get it. It's an easy way to not make a perfect character. Yet, ask yourself this. If you make your character you, will you be able to keep in-character stuff from affecting your OOC? The majority of people cannot distinguish this. If you put too much of yourself in your character, what happens in character can and will affect you OOC. Your character then becomes you, and your brain cannot tell the two apart. Hell, even I do not make my characters like this because of this reason. People tend to get really defensive over their beliefs, and it can ruin the roleplay for you. Does this mean do not put something of yourself in the character? No. It means do not make your character you. Try make them something you always wanted to do, but never could. Like be a doctor. If you are religious, play a non-religious character or vice versa. Overall, try your best not to create yourself in roleplay. So, you made your character now. And you are wondering if you have to use a voice to roleplay, right? Short answer is no. You do not need to make a new voice for roleplay. Some find it easier to do this to further separate OOC and IC, yet many tend to use their own voice. There are benefits from doing voices. Easier to have multiple characters, give each character a different voice. Many people will not mistake you for your other character. I'm not a voice actor, you say. Well, I'm not either. If you love to do voices, do them. No one will make fun of you. Out of all the communities, I find the roleplay community to be a bit more understanding and accepting than most. Long story short, do voices if you want to, or just use your own. Both ways are perfectly acceptable in roleplay. Now you got into roleplay. Started a story and is having a hell of a time, yet you want to improve your roleplay skills. First thing is, make sure you know your character. This should have been worked out during character creation. If not, no worries, you can do it now. Make sure you know what your character likes, dislikes, and is scared of. Favorite food and color, etc., and stick with it. Next, pay attention to what is happening in roleplay. Text-based RP, you need to read it multiple times fully to understand and then reply. LARPing, D&D, video game RP, pay attention. Give the other person all your attention during their part of the interaction. When replying to a scenario, try your best to match the intensity of your partner's roleplay. This does not mean if they're angry, go to that level. No, it means try your best to give the same quality, if not better quality of roleplay in that situation. When doing text-based roleplay, make your dialogue and actions clear and separate. Conflict, yes. Conflict makes great roleplay. A bit of conflict here and there can be good, but remember, too much of anything can spoil the broth. Keep it balanced. That is the key. Everyone loves a good love story and definitely can create some interest and conflict, that is for sure. Just remember, there's more to roleplay than shipping your character with another character. Try your best to find other ways to spice up the roleplay if you can. Not saying relationship RP is bad, it is fun, but too much can get stale. Remember, a good mix is needed. So this is the biggest part for me when roleplaying. Think through your actions. Slow down. It is okay to take a few seconds to collect your thoughts before proceeding. And if you're on the receiving end, give the other person at least a minute to collect thoughts before just barging in with, you took too long, boom, shoot, or stab them. Make sure what you are doing is 1, within your character's nature, 2, within the rules. When you slow down and think through stuff, This can and will help your roleplay and others' roleplay in the long run. The biggest part that people over a while fail to get is roleplay does not equal real life. What happens in roleplay does not mean that it is how the person feels of you out of roleplay. This right here is another reason why you do not want to make your character you. Remember, everyone has a life out of roleplay. Just because someone's character hates your character, do not take it personally. So what if that character says they hate your character's style of dress? Your character can be mad at their character, but that does not mean they IRL hate what you like. Do not take it personally. This can and will only ruin roleplay. Also remember to be patient with your roleplay partner and use common sense. No one should be expected to roleplay and be available to roleplay at all times. Find a middle ground. Now, should you let your character be miserable? Heck yeah, let them be miserable. That is great roleplay. However, do not bring IRL misery into the roleplay world. If you are in a bad mood or pissed at someone OOC who is also part of the same roleplay, take a break. Do not go into roleplay. When you are mad at someone IRL, it is nearly impossible, more so if you designed your character to be you in a different world. Do not bring that in the world. Take a break. Breaks are good. The roleplay will be there when you get back. Last but not least, the main thing about roleplay is to have fun. So overall, just enjoy your roleplay experience, whether it be D&D, LARPing, text-based RP, video game RP, or all the above. Just have fun in a world of imagination. Now, let's talk about ways to keep OOC and IC separate. I did hint to this a few times earlier, but I'm going to go in a bit more detail. Many people do find it hard to keep the two separate. I get it. Over time, you feel like you are that character. Hell, I even sometimes have that happen and just need to take a break. It is normal. Like I mentioned before, a good way to keep OOC and IC separate is to not put too much of you in the character. The further from you make your character, the easier it will be to keep them separate. Now, dating over the internet has taken off hard, that is for sure, and role-playing a relationship in a fantasy world is no exception. Some people start dating IC and then take it OOC, or vice versa. This is great. I love seeing people happy. However, if you do take the relationship from the roleplay world and make it IRL, it could lead to a nasty conflict, to the point where your roleplay is now affected. Same goes for IRL to the roleplay world. You guys fight. Now what? There's no escape from that person to cool off from. You are forced to play with or see one another constantly. My advice, keep OOC relationships OOC and IC relationships IC. From what I've seen, this never turns out well in the end. Some things you can do to keep roleplay fun in character for everyone is to remember this one simple phrase to ask yourself. Is what I am doing fun for everyone involved? If it's anything but yes, then you might not want to do it. Hostage taking can be fun. Talk to the person you are taking hostage, play a small game, etc. Now, if you are having a bad day and just mad at the world, it might not be best to go into roleplay today. More so if you know your character is having conflict. It is alright to take breaks in roleplay. Personal health is a priority. Like I say all the time, IRL comes first. We talked about roleplay, the rules of roleplay, went over some tips and tricks that can help you on your roleplay adventure, and what style of roleplay will fit you best. I hope this helped you out in your roleplay journey. Thank you all for making it this far. If you have any questions about roleplay that I did not cover in this video, please leave a comment below and I'll definitely respond to it. Till next time, it's your girl Taro. Enjoy your roleplay adventure.